And it says we are live. That's right. Be sure to take an opportunity to smash that like button. We are live streaming on YouTube, on Rumble, and X. Make sure if you are watching over on the X side, I would greatly appreciate if you take an opportunity right now to repost this live stream.
Rice TVX, the mic's live wire. American Pitbull, real gold buyer. Sound money advocate, rights defender. In the crypto arena, he's the top contender. From the gritty streets of the digital age, Rice lays wisdom, chapter and page. Silver, gold, he scores only the bold. Land, life, and liberty, these values hold.
Twitter, what's my phone? See me, the stands, evergreen at the sound.
Constitution, deep dive, knowledge revival. Navigate the system, critical for survival. Rights engraved like inscriptions on metal. Pitbull in the game, lead foot on the pedal. Land acquirer, a strategic mind. In the fight for freedom, he's frontline. Educate on rights, the law he'll explain. Chris Rice the Pitbull, breaking the chain.
I'm gonna go to you. The mountain from state.
In the arena where truths collide, Rice TVX, the certified guide. Silver and gold, land and rights. American Pitbull in the freedom fights. In a world of chaos, he's the calm in the storm. Teaching the masses, ready to inform. Keys to crypto, rights we cherish. His wisdom lights paths that others perish. Guardian of wealth, from digital to ancient. His legacy crafted, fearless and patient.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in for today's video. It just happens to be video number 4 in this installment series regarding Bitcoin Ben and his crypto clubs. And today we're going to be focusing on the Venture Capital One Fund. I am joined by Debbie Pusatier. She's going to be coming on the show here in just a minute. Let me go ahead and pull up on screen. I did create a playlist for all the videos that include, and hopefully this is showing up. Now I've got echoes going on, which is an echo from this. Okay, so I've created a playlist that has all the videos. So in case you have missed the first live stream that started January 23rd of this year, and the ones that we've done this month, the past couple weeks. So be sure to check those out. That is linked down below in the video description. I will put it in the pinned comment after this video. Let me go ahead real quick and pull down this screen share, which I guess wasn't showing anything, unfortunately. Let me try that once more. I'm not sure what happened with that screen share, but this is the playlist right here. So this playlist I have linked down below in the video description. It has all the videos in regards to this series. So if you don't know what's going on, start at the beginning. It's a lot. Again, we're covering Venture Capital One Fund today. Before I bring Debbie onto the show, let me go ahead and pull up something on screen that I wanted to share real quick. which means I have to stop the current screen share that I have. There's gonna be a lot of screen sharing going on in today's video, so bear with me. Smash that like button. I greatly appreciate you tuning in. And let me go ahead and get this going. So I'm gonna pull up my Telegram. And there is the share. I'm going to try to increase the size here. This is the max size. So this right here is somebody sent me this that is within the organization involved as a former owner operator. And this shows some information from sunbiz.org, which is a Florida business website. And this shows, and I've showed this information about the Sunbiz website on the first live stream. But this happened in February that Ben transferred over Private Key Capital LLC, and you can see that was transferred over to Jay Bose, as we're looking right around here for related agent and such. And going to the next screen share that I wanted to share was, enlarge this. This is where Ben Semchi, Bitcoin Ben, transferred Little Lazy Paws, a Florida LLC, to his now current girlfriend that he cheated on his wife with, Heidi. So just to kind of give everybody a little update of what's happened since yesterday's live stream. So I have a feeling that what's going to be happening with Bitcoin Ben is that there's going to be a story that's going to come out where they're going to try to place blame on other individuals that were hired at the company over the past year. Not going to name names, but you can read between the lines. And with that being said, I'm trying to show that there was a lot of unethical things happening before anybody was brought on to help with the clubs as a CEO, CFO, any of the different positions that they had. There were some people that are involved in the beginning, but the people I think they're going to be used as scapegoats for the crypto clubs are people that were hired in the past year. So again, I'm just trying to show evidence that there was stuff going on way before any of these people like Jay Bose or Nathan or Bamboo's been with Ben for a long time. And we'll get into that. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and bring on today's guest, Debbie. I appreciate you taking time to come and join us. This is Debbie Pusatier. She was brought in, I'll let her tell the story, but she was part of the Venture Capital One Fund, which was Bitcoin Ben and Lori, and I forget her last name. You can tell me in a minute, Debbie, but it was their venture capital fund where Ben was utilizing his community to make private investments by creating a private venture capital fund. There is a website that people can check out to kind of get a little bit of information that I want to share really quickly. It's the Founders Group website. I will put this in the video description link, but it's foundersgroupworldwide.com, founders with an S. If you scroll down to the bottom, you can click on Venture Capital One, and that's going to take you to this screen talking about how many members, 1,500 plus members in the Founders Group, that they've invested close to $2 million in Bitcoin across a range of different companies, that they've had nearly 700 shares sold, and that's an important number. And also that there has been 12 promising startups that VC1 invested in, and we'll get into that. And then Venture Capital 2 started. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and let Deb introduce herself, and we'll get right into your information.
Hey, Rice, thanks for having me. And I want to thank you so much for taking your time and your voice to get this out there, because we've been struggling trying to do this for a couple of years now, and we truly appreciate your help with this. So thank you.
No problem. I feel like it's a dirty job. Someone's got to do it. Because of my relationship with Ben and Ken, I felt a responsibility.
Yeah. Well, you know, I think being part of the crypto community, this just puts a bad taste in it for all of us. So that's another reason we really don't want this industry to end up like this. We have to be honest and ethical with each other. So
we should be transparent. Yeah, we shouldn't have to trust. We should be able to verify. And I wasn't able to get Ben to verify anything. Yeah. I don't think you were either. No.
So I started with Ben. I heard about him in 2020 from the X22 report, and ended up going to, he had gatherings here and there across the country. So I started going to the meetups, met Ben, met Lori. Her name is Lori Herman.
Herman.
And Lori Herman. And I did not know the business relationship with the two of them then. She was the organizer, should I say, of all these meetups that Ben was having.
Right.
So I went to a couple of them. And then the following year, I was asked by Ben in July to be a board member because he was creating what was called the Founders Group, which was the bulk of us who had come and gathered together. And we were the founders of this new world that was going to be crypto-based, educate people, give people opportunities, and open doors for so many people, which I thought was great. You know, I think we all have an issue with our current government and the government around the world. So it was just a super, super thing. And the other thing I thought was great is that Ben really, he gave some great information. You know, he was so easy to listen to. And I really did. And he was my friend, like you. Ben and I were fairly good friends. I was also friends with Kelly, his soon to be ex-wife. So this is very hard for me to do, but I think it's important to do because I believe I'm the last standing board member, to my knowledge, of the Founders Group. I never resigned. I was never told by Ben that I was removed from the board. And here I am. So I feel it a duty and an obligation to the members, who many are my friends, of VC1 and the Founders Group, to do something to try to bring the truth out, because I was silenced. We had a circle group that we would all communicate within. And as I came out with truth and I started calling Ben on some of his not so accurate statements, he started censoring me on Circle, and then I was censored altogether. All of my chats were deleted, and I didn't have anybody's contact information. So everyone out there listening, I apologize that I didn't get a hold of you, but only until a little while ago did I get email addresses. So here we are.
Trying to see if I can enlarge this, but people can always take screenshots if I can't, but it's all good. This is a timeline that you put together to kind of help follow along with some of the things that you were going to be mentioning today. Because I mean, you definitely had an inside look into everything. You did some investments prior to the venture capital one. You got brought on as a board member. Lori confided in you in some things, and that's why I think you're one of the best people to do this. Now, hopefully, because I'm not going to be doing a ton more videos regarding this topic. I know people are kind of getting burned out of me doing it anyways, but I feel like this is kind of putting a bow on everything that I'm doing. I may do one more video with owner operators, investors, anybody else that might be willing to come forward. You can email me at ricecrypto@gmail.com. That's the best way to get in touch with me if you're willing to come on the channel. Other than that, it would just be like an important update. Whether or not there's Ben's coming out with a new story, Ben gets arrested, Ben flees the country, something like that. That would be the only reason I'm trying to cover this any further, because I think that it's very time consuming, and because of Ben being my friend, it's you know, I feel very emotionally attached to this whole thing.
Yes.
And when I first heard about it, and it's taken me a while to digest this stuff, and then I told you about the situation with my father. So I've had a lot going on, but when I first heard about all this stuff, and I said it in that first live stream, this just made me so sick to my stomach. And every time I'm revisiting it, I kind of get that almost anxiety, sick to my stomach feeling, which I currently have right now. So
no, I totally concur, because it took me, there were many other VC1 members that kept saying, Deb, because I was the last one to hold out hope that Ben would do the right thing. And it took me until 2025, about a year ago, January, to start saying, all right, I've got to do something. He's not going to come clean. He's not. I reached out to him with certified mailings, and he ignored me. He was reading my text because he had his read on, but he wasn't replying. He wasn't responding to my voicemails. And then Kelly reached out to me, and then I knew that it was that the Ben that I knew was gone. But let me just say to anybody listening, the knowledge I have is only through the end of VC1. I chose not to get involved with VC2 because of what I saw. And I think it's important because there are still people giving Ben money every month for a venture capital 2 group that you're just wasting your money. There's nothing to invest in. And I would love for somebody to come forward with more information than me who could possibly educate on that.
I'm not 100% sure, but I believe that the Venture Capital 2 monthly, this is from Bamboo a week ago, Founders Group VC2 monthly contributions deactivated. It has something to do with Stripe, I believe. I don't know much more beyond that. So it looks like they're stopping to take incoming money, which would technically be the right thing to do.
Right. Well, I believe he was taking more than just Stripe. People were allowed to pay in Bitcoin also, Litecoin.
Right.
I mean, there's so many,
and that's where we're going to get in. That's where we're. Sorry, go ahead.
No, there's so many people that aren't paying attention, that don't have any idea what's going on here. So that's why I say that.
No, and there's a lot. I mean, unfortunately, a lot of people blindly followed Ben in these ideas with just words. There was no business plan, no kind of anything to really say how this investment, what you're doing, what you're getting for your investment, and then the investments that you guys are making into entities and following up and being involved. Because when you want a return on your investment, you're not likely to get a return on every investment that you make. But that's why people make more than one investment, so that if one or two pays off, it kind of makes up for the ones that don't. And maybe this started with good intentions, but real quick, can you kind of give me the timeline of when did the VC start? Like, when did VC1 start? When did you get involved, or how did you get involved with Ben, I guess?
Right. Well, again, Ben asked me to be a board member. That was in July of 2021. And I'm reading off the timeline to make sure I don't screw up dates here. So in September of 2022, I happen to be a real estate investor. So I started selling a lot of my real estate. Ben had approached me knowing that I had capital on the side and asked me to invest in a company called Lynx, LNX, which was the social part of the Founders Group. It was an upscale type venue where he would hold functions. We would charge for tickets. And he was going to bring in, he said the Trumps, and he promised Dave from X22 and all these people who never came to fruition. So long story short, he had told me that he said, if I invest, he said I would be a partner with him and Lori. I would be the third, and that buying in a third of the company would cost me $200,000. And I'm sharing this, people, for a reason. And he said within 6 months, I would triple my money. Like, I would get it. It would be great. So I said, okay, I did it. Well, none of the events were bringing in people. None of the people that Ben had said were coming in ever showed up. So we weren't making money. I asked for a financial statement, and Lori gave it to me because Lori was still involved at that point. So in August of 2023, I ran the numbers with her numbers, and we were at a 15.5% loss. We weren't making anything. We were just eating through the money. So I told Ben I wanted out, and he bought me out. Well, gave me my money back, but I did walk away losing about $33,000. And then I found out when I looked at the books that I was the only one that put money in. So if I said to you, Rice, I have a business venture, let's go 50-50, the buy-in is $10,000. I would expect you put in 10 and I put in 10. I mean, that's the way it works as far as I know in my world. So Ben had said, for you to be an equal partner, you need to give us $200,000. That's the buy-in. I'm like, okay. Neither Ben or Lori put money in. The whole thing was running off my money. And I was thinking, why would he do that? But again, I gave him the benefit of the doubt. So I walked out of that business. That was in August of 2023. However, VC1 was formed it started in November of 2022. So I had invested in Lynx. Then I invested in VC1 a couple months later. And I had purchased 2 shares, and Ben kept saying, buy more. So I bought 4 shares. We were paying our monthly contributions. And yes. I can't hear you.
Sorry, in case you said it and I missed it. When did VC1 officially start?
November of 2022.
November of 2022. How long had you known Ben prior to that?
Almost 2 years.
Okay, that's cool. I'm just trying to snap that down to like a little summary.
Yeah, and I had been I had been a board member for over a year at that point. So I did know him very well. He even stayed at my house many times, and I stayed at his. Like, we were friends. So with that said, VC1 started. I purchased 4 shares, and the first project for VC1 was the crypto club, the Sarasota Crypto Club, which I technically own part of because I'm a shareholder. My brother went down and helped. We did free labor, went down, got the club going. And I got to say, it was fun. It was exciting. It was a great idea. However, as the months ticked on, we realized there was no business model. So I asked Ben about the numbers. And because I knew him pretty well, he shared with me the amount of rent. I'm in real estate. So he told me the amount of rent, how much the utilities were. You have gas, you have electric, you have water, you have insurance. And then he told me how much he was bringing in. And I said, oh my gosh, like, you have about $15,000 a month worth of expenses. You're bringing in not even $2,000 a month. How is this going to work? And he's like, oh, don't worry about it. So, and again, I'm thinking, all right, the first club, he's got to know what he's doing. Well, time went on. And then he said, all right, we're going to open up Nashville. And he said, Deb, open one in New York. And I said, unless there's something I'm missing, I'm not going to support a business that doesn't support itself. Like, it made no sense. So we had a board meeting. I'll never forget this, before Nashville opened. And we were talking about proposed leases and how much the leases were, the commercial leases. We're talking $10,000 to $15,000 a month. And I said to Ben, I really think this is foolish because your business model doesn't sustain paying these bills. And his response to me was, and I said, and you're signing a commercial lease. That's usually 3 to 5 year term. You are stuck for that money. That's a lot of money. His reply to me was, and I'm not going to swear, F them. I'll just walk away when I can't pay the bills, when we run out of money. And I'm like, what? Who does that? So, being a landlord, I know what it's like to be screwed. I just went through COVID. I'm like, Ben, that's the wrong thing to do. So that's when we started having real conversations. I think he started getting frustrated with me because I would call him on it. He never came up with a business model that worked. The other thing to note is that when he first opened Sarasota, he called me that day and said, because your brother did all this and you guys did all this for free, I want you to sign up and be the first members. Tell your brother he's never going to have to work again for the rest of his life. And I'm like, what do you mean? Ben said, the way I have this model is that it's going to be, if you sign someone up, then everybody that signs up, we're going to sign up under your brother. He's going to get all this money coming up, blah, blah, blah. And I said, okay. He said, but you two have to sign up as members. We were paying $99 a month, each of us, for over a year. And I believe that the dues dropped to like $5 a month. Substantially, they kept dropping because nobody was signing up. So lost money there too. Anyway.
I got to add a little comedy here real quick. What you got to check this out. Somebody made this by via AI, my friend Kevin Moore.
Yeah.
Since the pothead commented Bitcoin Ben Connect, figured I would share this. This is Carlos and Ben together. And are these guys the same person? Are they the same person? Got to add a little comedy to this because I know this is, I know there's people probably crying over this video because they've lost a lot of money.
Yeah, lost a lot of money. Yeah, me included. So don't think you're alone. Anyway, long story short, Nashville, they committed to a really big lease and they opened. We helped with that club too. Unfortunately, I was shared the numbers with Nashville for the first year. Actually, I take that back. Through September of the first year. None of the numbers were shared with the VC1 members. Now, part of the VC1 agreement was, Chris, if you want to bring your project forward, the maximum that we can give you is $150,000 for your project. You are required to give us quarterly financials. So we want to know what your company is doing, what you're bringing in, because we've invested in you. So we have a vested interest in how your business is doing. Some of the projects did do that because Lori was following up, getting that information. There were 3 projects that did not. Crypto World slacked, but the Sarasota and the Nashville Crypto Club, which were both VC1 projects, never shared one financial record, not one. And I know why, and I'm going to share that with you. Now, Ben also asked for $150,000 for another project that he wanted to do that he said was his own, that he had a partner in, that Kelly, his ex-wife, is now confirming that this guy got out right away because I don't know why, but he chose not to do it. So Ben ended up getting another $150,000, and the name of that was
That new rich.
Yes, New Rich Revolution. So Ben ended up getting $450,000 for 3 personal projects of his. Now, he knew the clubs had no winning business model. He misled the VC1 members. Yes.
Okay, so when you say 450,000, is that the 150 for New Rich and then 150 for Sarasota and 150 for Nashville?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Just to make sure I'm understanding that.
Yep. So we only funded 11 projects total in the 2 years. VC1 was set up to be a 2-year fund. So we only gave money to 11 projects. 3 of those, almost a third, were Ben's personal projects. And again, I wasn't against the clubs. I wasn't against anything. But once I realized that these clubs were bleeding money, I approached Ben. Ben was aware, and Ben refused to share that with the other investors. He was sucking in club owners. He was getting them to pay, I believe, and I could be wrong because I chose not to, $25,000, I believe. And if anybody in the comments knows,
for like anywhere between like 5 to 10 to 15% of the club.
Correct.
You're right. So in addition to the fact that you had VC1 invest $300,000 between 2 different clubs, you had individual investors that were investing in the clubs. Some of them were VC1 members, and then you also had VC2 formed for that purpose as well. And I'm pretty sure that there was just private stuff going on too. So just want to kind of share that real quick and just add that into the mix.
Yep. Now, again, it's important to understand that the VC1 projects, they had to agree, they signed a document, as far as I know, to give us financials. Well, Lori kept after Ben and after Ben and after Ben, and we as a board kept asking for the financials for his 3 projects. For the 2 years, we never saw one. To this day, we've never seen one financial document on any of those projects.
No, but he is claiming that one of those projects, being Cosmos, is caught up in a legal situation, which is kind of put that investment in a gray area. That's kind of the only update I've seen on anything.
Yes. Well, Cosmos was a loan. The others, we just gave money in return for example, we did Devour. And that's another thing. Ben, I believe, has custody of all the Devour tokens that we got for the $150,000. I don't know exactly what happened to them. I don't know where they are. I know there were several laptops scattered with our Bitcoin and our tokens on them for Devour, but I can't speak to that. But again, no information, no accountability, which is very sad. So Lori and I were talking about the clubs, and Lori had a lot of concern because she knew that these clubs were bleeding money. So when she shared with me the financials for the Nashville club, and I want to share these because these people need to know. So in September of 2024, it was a QuickBooks P&L, and I have a copy of it. They had a loss of $214,606 for the first 9 months. Their income, they had ATM fees that they were getting, about $2,400, and memberships to date in 9 months were $11,373. That's not even $2,000 a month. So there's no way that these clubs could sustain. No way. And now we're into these clubs. That was in 2024. We're in 2 years now.
Well, they're down now. Since then, it's all shut down. I want to ask you real quick, as another kind of like make sure I'm understanding the projects that were invested in by VC1. Aside from the 3 that were Ben related, I've got Crypto World I've heard of that just kind of went under. Cosmos legal situation. You mentioned Devour, Float.
Float went under. Well, Float disappeared.
Right. Yeah. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4. That's 7. You're saying 11, so that'd be 4 more. But the website said 12. So I'm not sure if there was something that took place after you.
No, there was a 12th one. It was some type of infrared sauna deal. but they
Okay.
were related to somebody who owned the Sarasota club. I don't know if that had anything to do with it, but it was my understanding that Ben never, well, it was my understanding Ben never gave them the money. Did he? I don't know. Did he pocket it? I don't know. Nobody knows. There was no communication, but
Okay.
we were told that there was no money given, I believe. I could be wrong on that.
Okay, so we have New Rich Revolution, Ben's Project, Sarasota Crypto Club, Nashville Crypto Club. That's 3. Crypto World 4, Cosmos 5, Devour 6, Float 7, Infrared Sauna 8. That still kind of leaves those 4
Yep.
more. Do you
Swing Zen? That's one word. Golf.
swing
Z-Pod.
Z-Pods?
Z-Pods.
Yeah, I know what they are. They're bone conductor headphones.
No, actually, they're big pods that little kids sleep in.
Oh, okay. Then this is
Yes.
something different then. Okay.
Yep. And then there was K1 Bitcoin vending machine. And then something called Arcadia Web 3. Oh, and Firefly. Firefly was the last one. Now, let me just say that there are maybe 4 or 5 of these companies that are still going that we technically own a part of or some type of profits. And this fund, even though it closed as far as getting contributions, I do believe that there's a way for the members of VC1 to vote and take over control of what might be left. So I'm hoping we can go forward with that because we put our money into it. I'd love to see some of us or all of us get something back because I know that Swing Zen is active, Z-Pods is active, K1 Bitcoin vending is active. I do believe that Cosmo was paying the loan backs. Whether Ben got the money or there was an issue with them, I don't know. But I know Cosmo was active. So there's at least an Arcadia Web might be active, and Firefly is active. So that's go ahead.
The other thing I was going to ask you is like, was each entity, was it only $150,000 per entity?
Yes.
So 12 entities at $150,000, that's $1,800,000.
Right. But Ben said that only 11 of them got money. Is that true? I don't know. I don't know if none of us know, but I can tell you, I did the calculations on, yes. So I would say I would use the 11. Because which is
1,650,000.
Right. I have all these 11. Yep. 1 million. You're right. 1,650,000.
Okay. Because anyway, at some point we're going to get into the monthly contributions, what was going on with those, and then how much that was versus how much the Bitcoin was. So again, this is all leading up to something, everybody.
Yes.
It's a lot. It's a lot.
Yeah. Now, something also to note is that we have all these different companies, right? In VC1. Well, the reason at the end of VC2 in the summer of 2024, Lori approached me and said, listen, I'm concerned. There are no more projects to invest in. I'm just not finding anybody. Yet we're still taking all this money in every month from all the investors. I told Ben I want to stop taking the money in because people were financially bleeding. We'd had not one return, not $1, which, I get it. It's a new fund, but no money came back to us. We were still paying $150 a month. And the contributions, the last contribution was supposed to be October of 2024. So Lori had said, let's just stop it November. There were members that couldn't even pay their contributions. They just didn't have the money. So some of them, I think, weren't paying. So Ben said, nope. He's like, I want that money. I want it to come in. And Lori's like, and this is what Lori told me. Lori said, we've got nothing to invest it in, Ben. These people are hurting. Stop taking their money. And he said, no, I want to put it into future clubs that I want to build down the road in the next 2 years. And Lori said, no, these clubs are losing. They're hemorrhaging money. And I know they're not making money. No, I can't, as your partner, I don't feel good about this. I'm not doing this. Well, Lori got the contributions. I think our last contribution was September of 2024. So she got that shut down. She held a board meeting for the board members that we had. And that board meeting was September 12th of 2024. And Lori had put to a vote to take all the remaining money that was left in the VC1 fund and give it back to the people who paid it. And we all agreed that that was the right thing to do. It was their money. There was nothing else to invest in.
So let me understand, everything that was left over after paying monthly salaries to Ben, to Lori, to buying out Lori, which we'll get into, to investing in those 11 entities, whatever was left over from that should have been returned back to the investors based off the vote.
You had all that correct except one. The buying out of Lori, we had no idea. That happened after.
Right, but I'm just including that with
yes.
what would, you know, in the ultimate idea of what's left over, because that's the question. That's the unethical thing is the leftover money.
Correct. And
there's a lot of trickery with the investments. Who knows, like if the investments were with venture capital or if they were with Benjamin Aaron Simchi, I don't know. So it's like a lot of like gray areas with that, but kind of letting people know that there was a significant amount of money left over and you guys wanted it back. So what happened after that?
Correct. Well, we voted to give it back. Ben said no, and Ben put up on the website, because if you wanted to put a project up for a vote, you had to put up documentation, have like a 2-month waiting period, and put it up on the website. So he then put up 2 more of these crypto clubs that didn't exist. Lori pulled them down. There was a lot of dissension. That's when the ball started rolling downhill with Ben. So Lori started getting concerned, and she started emailing me all of the documents, the LLC formation documents, everything done in El Salvador, any important emails. There was a huge to-do list that I didn't even know about of the actual formation of the VC club, the VC founders, the VC1 group that wasn't even done. There was supposed to be trusts done, like the actual business entity wasn't even formed correctly. And she's like, this is like a crap show. I don't feel good about this. I'm nervous. I'm concerned. Things aren't being done right. You know, people aren't reporting. We've got no financials. And meanwhile, the VC1, because I've gone through with a fine-tooth comb all of the VC1 documents, the formation documents, the partnership with Lori and Ben, and they were supposed to have hired an independent accountant, an independent auditor. We were supposed to see at least annual financials on VC1, how much money came in, who paid, how much they paid. And then when subsequently we got a refund, who got the refund? Because I can tell you for a fact, there were some people that stopped paying that couldn't afford it, that got the same Bitcoin back when Ben finally gave a little bit back as the people who paid in full. That's wrong. Like if you put in, you know, it's such a mess. This whole thing is a mess.
I know we're going to get into it, but I was telling you before privately, by Ben giving back Bitcoin to people, it doesn't necessarily make this entire thing fraudulent or a scam. It's definitely very unethical. Him keeping the leftover money you guys voted on returning back to everybody is definitely illegal. Because the way that I'm understanding that the VC was set up with the votes and things like that, for Ben to override was taking it a step further that he didn't really have the authority to do, but he did it anyways, which makes me wonder like whose name is on the investments.
Oh, you know, that's a good question. I didn't even think of that one, but I can tell you what I did think about. So after you and I started talking and I started sending Ben these letters, and there was some of the VC1 people approached me, and we've tried to get together. We've filed complaints. We're doing what we can to hold Ben accountable. But I started thinking, and I'm like, we're talking about dollars here. I know that we put dollars in, and yes, I just saw a comment, and I'm going to reply to that comment in a minute. Don't let me forget to talk about the El Salvador resort in December. But I started thinking, wait a minute, Ben, they took our money and they turned it into Bitcoin. They weren't holding dollars. Yes, he posted, yes, keep that up.
No, I'm leaving it up so we don't forget.
Yeah. So I went back through, and I've got, if anybody, my email is up by my name. If you want a copy of these documents, I will email them to you. What I did was I went back through the 2 years of the fund, and I did an average of how the value of Bitcoin for that month, because some people would pay on the first, you know, then there was a late fee. I don't know when people paid. So I did an average of what the value of Bitcoin was each month for the 2 years while we collected the dues. I took that average amount, and I can tell you that there was no crazy high and low. Like if it started at 21, it ended at 22 or something. So it was a pretty reasonable, I think, number.
Yeah, I want to pull up that information. Do you want me to pull it up now?
Unless you want me to speak to this comment first, and then we'll pull that up.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so, and this will be meaningful when we get there. So anyway, Lori ended up resigning. She's like, I'm done. I don't want anything to do with this. This is going south. I'm out. So in November of 2024, Lori resigned. That was right after the contributions ended because Ben had, according to Lori, cut off communication with her. Again, that's between the two of them. Then Ben came out, and I have some circle screen prints. Ben came out in 2024. I'm sorry, December of 2024. He told us collectively on live streams that he had paid Lori out. He took money out of the remaining money from VC1, the money we were supposed to get back, and he paid her off. And he said he gave her $200,000 out of our money. Now, again, if you go through, and I've got the documents, if people
real quick, that's really unethical. If you're going to buy somebody out of their position in a VC fund, you can't use the funds of the VC to do it. You're supposed to use your own personal funds.
Correct.
So to do it ethically, Ben would have had to have used his money.
Correct.
To buy Lori out, but instead he did it in a very unethical way. This is again where I'm bringing in the trickery and deception.
Well, it's not even just unethical, Chris, because per the LLC, he has an unauthorized use of shareholder funds. So he's violated his own LLCs that he set up. He had to get a majority vote from us to approve that. And instead,
right, which he did without a vote.
Correct. And he was also supposed to have a board of directors per the VC document, the LLC documents. So he then decided to take our money and buy Lori out. And then he said, well, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to replace the partner. So Ben and Lori were partners getting a salary, running the fund, and we were just investors in the fund. Now he's saying, well, I gave her $200,000. Now you are all replacing Lori. And I said to him, well, if I'm replacing Lori as an owner, where's my access to the bank accounts? Where's my access to the records? Where's my authority? Like, you're telling me I'm an owner, you took my money, but I'm still a little peon that you're banning off Circle and deleting my comments. Like, what is this? So
real quick, was the money that was paid to Lori, do you know if that was fiat or was that Bitcoin?
Mostly Bitcoin. And Ben said he paid her $200,000, but again, a little trickery lie so we could pocket some Bitcoin. Lori said that she only received $152,222. That was her exact number per an email. Okay. So there's about 50K in Bitcoin. So he took the money, paid her off. Then he decided in December, and again, all I could think of was the Federal Reserve vote here with our dirty government. He decided to, I want to purchase a resort in El Salvador. Really? He's like, yeah, I want to take, I think it was 500,000. I believe, I could be wrong. So he's claiming there was $1 million left of our money in the VC1 fund. So he said he wanted to take 500,000 of that and invest it into a resort. And most people were like, no, but here's the other problem.
Real quick, there was $1 million left after everything was said and done.
That's what he's claiming at the end when we closed the fund. That's what we were told.
That's what you were trying, that $1 million you were trying to get redistributed back to all the VC1 shareholders. Okay.
Yes. And out of that million, he took 200,000 and gave it to Lori. Then he wanted to take another 500,000. So that would be 700,000 out of the million, right? And he wanted to buy this resort in El Salvador. He said, it's going to be a project. And I said, Ben, I was the only board member left. I'm like, first of all, the fund is closed. We're done. We voted no more projects. We voted no more nothing. The fund closed October of 2024. And he's like, I don't care. And I said, Ben, there was a board vote. Then he started coming out and saying, there is no board. It's irrelevant. Like, I thought he lost his mind. So he said there was no board. He wasn't even putting it up like we did for all the other projects as a project. He didn't email the people. We're talking about 700 investors. He's only communicating to a small little group that hang on his every word in Circle. So he wasn't even telling all these other people that have no idea what's going on that he wants to take their money and make them a part owner, opening up liability up the yin yang to a resort in El Salvador, which he wanted to have a bunch of cars, open bar, you know, unlimited drinking, boats. I'm like, are you kidding me? I've been a real estate owner my whole life. You're opening people up to liability. I said, where are the numbers? How much is it going to cost to run this? How much is the electric, the water, sewer? How much is the mortgage? Like, how much is it going to cost and what are we bringing in? Nothing. My questions, comments, I started getting banned off Circle because Ben didn't want people to think. So myself and a few other VC1 members, thank you, Twigs, thank you, everybody that helped, got on the phone. We started calling and emailing people, telling them what was going on, and we defeated that vote. Thank you, Jesus. We defeated that vote.
Nice.
So then Ben decided, well, I'm starting a VC2 firm, a VC2 club, and that's just going to be for crypto clubs. And we're like, are you kidding me? You know they make no money. But he was lying to all the owners of the clubs, telling them they were making money, and they were not making money. And that totally boiled my blood. He and I went back and forth with private texts, and I'm like, Ben, you've got to stop lying to people. Well, babe, you got to pray to God and ask who's telling the truth. And I'm, you know, this is the right thing to do. And well, pretty much he shut me down. So in January of 2024, or 2025, he shut me down. He stopped communicating because I started calling him on it. I sent him 3 certified mailings last year, giving him an opportunity to put forth the financials. We still don't have financials. There's no closing anything for VC1. We don't know what's going on with the projects, where they are, we have nothing. He took our money, and I don't know what he did with it. But let me just finish. I want to finish talking about the money we paid in. So
yeah. So can I ask you real quick if we can? Yeah. How much were everyone paying monthly for 2 years per share?
Per share was $150 a month.
So 150 times 24.
Yes.
Now I know that there was administrative fees and all that. That didn't go. That was going into I'm assuming the pockets of Ben and Lori. Do you know what was the administrative fee?
We have no idea. Oh, to join. So you had,
it was like 1,800 or something.
1,500.
15.
Yeah.
Hold on. What was that? What was that? And that 1,500 had nothing to do with the 150 times 24.
That is correct. So the buy-in, you needed. Hold on, let me just pull up the right numbers here.
And that's $3,600 for one share, paying $150 times 24 months, $3,600. But when he said on the Founders Group website, which I showed earlier, and I can pull it back up, but it takes away from the screen share that I've got currently, is that they had nearly 700 shares. So yes, even if we just said 650 shares, which I think is being generous, just being generous, and this is just the cash part. So 3,600 times 650 is $2,340,000, but they were buying Bitcoin monthly with that money, which made the value of that fiat exponentially higher.
Yes. Now, in addition to that, the buy-in per share was $1,500. Plus,
that was just to be able to pay the $150 a month for 24 months.
Plus a one-time fee of $649 per share. So if you wanted to even be able to pay that $150 a month, you're looking at the $1,500 plus your $649.
I know people had multiple shares, bought shares for family members. You bought members, people. I don't want to say who, unless you want to say who, but I know you were generous and bought shares for people as well. So, if that was the case, you would have had to pay the $649 per share. So
and the $1,500, per share. So that's $2,149 just to buy in to be able to pay the $150 a month,
which does not go towards VC1, right?
Well, we were told it was the initial pot.
Okay, so we'll just call it a gray area, and it doesn't really count, but it's obviously significant when you take $2,149 as the initial cost. Let's see, $2,149 times 650 is $1,396,000. or 1,396,850.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sorry.
No, it's all right. Because, and like I said, when I reached out to you, I know when I stumbled on these calculations, I wanted to throw up. Like, I know how you feel. You said you don't feel really good. Like, I thought Ben had stolen $1 million from us. That's what I thought. But when I started doing the research, and I did my research based on 700 members, because that's what the website said. So my research showed that when they purchased Bitcoin each month, and I even took out how much Bitcoin they paid the projects at the price of Bitcoin it was for that month the project was paid out. I might have made some mistakes, but I think for the most part, I had a few people look at it. I think it might be fairly accurate.
Another thing to add too, obviously Ben and Lori were involved in this VC1 fund. Were they contributing $150 for 2 years, 24 months?
No, according to Lori, they paid not one dime, nothing.
So there was no investment on their end. It was just, I guess, their perk of running the VC fund that gave them free shares.
Correct.
Okay.
So the calculations that I did, and this is going to blow your mind. I had to look at this a few times, because when we started VC1, Bitcoin, the price of Bitcoin was, I believe, like 17,000. Again, I'd have to pull that up.
Hold on, I want to get this.
20,000
share.
So in September of 2022, the price of Bitcoin was 20,239 a Bitcoin. Okay. I took the initial buy-in, which we were told the 1,500 was supposed to be the base. So the Bitcoin price was between 20 and 23,000 in September of 2022. Okay. That's when we all paid.
If you're paying 150 monthly times 650 people, that's $97,500 that's being brought in monthly. So you're basically saying like $100,000 worth of Bitcoin was purchased every month, roughly.
I think yes.
Okay, I'm just trying to gauge what a little bit to help with the visuals we're seeing here on screen.
Now Bitcoin, again, in September of 2022, when we all did our initial buy-in, and then November 1st was the first contribution of 2022. Bitcoin was an average of $21,000, September of 2022. Okay. I'm sorry, it was $20,000.
$20,239 price, right? And then you say in January the price was $23,228.
Yes. So what I did was split the investors. So I didn't assume that everybody bought in September. I assumed that maybe half of the shares were sold in September, and I didn't even calculate until January of 2023 to assume they were all sold by then. Again, I don't know. We've never seen any records, but I tried to give Ben the benefit of the doubt. So the initial Bitcoin investment, it looks like they purchased 48.53 Bitcoin with the money that was there at the price of Bitcoin. Okay. That wasn't the 150 a month. That was the initial buy-in to get into the fund. Okay.
Okay.
So then we look at the 11 projects. So I did this a little bit backward here. We look at 11 projects funded at 150,000 each. That was, and I did by 11, 1,650,000. So that's 65 Bitcoin at an average price of 25,000 a Bitcoin. Again, I averaged when they got their payout. What was the price of Bitcoin? And
you don't have to. Yeah, I'm saying I'm just pulling up the stuff on screen. Please don't get distracted by it.
Yeah, no. That's okay. So let me take one step back. The monthly dues based on the average cost of Bitcoin. Yep, it was $105,000 a month to buy Bitcoin. So the grand total of the Bitcoin purchase with the monthly dues was 84.3917 Bitcoin. That's just the 150 a month. Again, assuming it's 700 shares. I added that to the initial investment we all had to put in, which was 48.53 Bitcoin, because Bitcoin was cheaper then. That means the total amount of Bitcoin that was purchased over the lifetime of the fund using the average cost of Bitcoin from 2022 to 2024 were 132.9306 Bitcoin. Again, give or take. I can't say who, if everybody paid exactly everything, but I can say most people probably paid. So we're looking at
you could be generous. You could be generous and say 120 Bitcoin.
Yep.
That's still a lot.
It is a huge lot, especially with what happened to the price of Bitcoin. So
going
here,
above $100,000 up to
Yes, sir.
125-ish,
and it
126.
makes sense now why Ben wanted to only give us back. And he's like, oh, it's just $1 million. He's like, oh, I'm just going to give you back half of it, 500,000, because, you know, I have, and he thought, and we weren't thinking in Bitcoin. I wasn't. I'm thinking in dollars. Not that I forgot, but I don't know why my brain didn't snap in and say, wait a minute. Bitcoin is now 100. In January of 2025, Bitcoin was 102,248. That made that 63.898 Bitcoin that were left in the fund worth $6,534,101. And
Can you say that again?
I can say that again, Chris. $6,534,101. And let's just say maybe I'm wrong by 1.5 million. That's $5 million. And
Right.
Ben only dispersed, as far as I know, if everybody got the Bitcoin back that we got, he only dispersed 8.5 Bitcoin out of the 63.8 Bitcoin left. He only gave us back, if everybody got their shares back, about $870,000 back to us. $870,000. What a piece of garbage. I'm sorry. But like I said, oh my gosh.
This is where it's like, there's obviously something not right going on. But again, with him giving back money, you can't call it a scam because people got something back. And technically there was no promise for anybody to actually get anything back. But well, we're talking about the amount of money that we're talking about. And I know you probably don't know this, but would you say the majority of people that invested with Ben are senior citizen age?
I would say a lot of them are older. I mean, I'm older. A lot of people are older than me. A lot of people believed in him and they gave him their life savings. And you had mentioned earlier that the clubs are all closed. I was told by one of the owners of a club, and I'm not going to say who was stuck footing a bill, because I was told by this owner that they wrote a check to pay the mortgage, the bill, the rent, and the utilities for that club. Ben drained the bank account. Yes, that's right. You heard me. He drained the bank account. The checks bounced. Ben got on a live stream, I believe, within a month ago and said they froze his accounts. Well, last I checked,
Are you talking about the April? Are you talking about the April 1st, the 2 live streams where he claims? Yeah, I don't know if they said it was frozen, but he kept saying they could not keep a bank account.
No, he said they were frozen. There was a live stream. He said they were frozen.
Now I've heard another story since then, and I'm sure that'll come out, which I kind of talked a little bit about at the beginning of the video before I brought you on, to kind of like lay a little bit of information of what's coming down the pipeline. I can see the future apparently.
Yeah. Well, I can tell you that I was told that about 3 people, their homes are going into foreclosure because of how much they invested in Ben. Older people. That's wrong. You know, there's something's got to be done. He's got to be stopped. It took me a year to come to terms that he was a scammer. I couldn't get there in my mind. So I can see how he can pull people in. And there are still people that don't want to believe it right now. I will willingly, there's my email. If anyone wants these numbers, you can get on CoinMarketCap. You can get the average price of Bitcoin. You can do the math. You can
addresses can be provided. Bitcoin addresses can be provided, so you can get this information, because it wasn't like she's just pulling these numbers that I've got up on screen out of her ass, because she was very specific and meticulous with how she did her mathematics here, which I appreciate.
Could I bring up, I was a math minor. Thank you. Could I bring up, I was also shared, and I don't have the address of the wallet yet, but I'm hoping to get it. I might even have it because I sent Ben money and Ben sent me money. Bitcoin, that's another long story for something else. I will read you the text that I got sent. Oh, do you put it up there? Oh, no. Okay. It said, I'm sending you this
Oh,
I
I
read.
can. I can. All I need to do is remove this screen share, pull up
Can
this.
you put up what I sent you?
Well, if you're talking about the number of
His wallet.
in the Bitcoin, like the address has transacted 600 and or 900 and that. If you're looking for that, yeah, I can totally get that up
Okay,
on screen. So as
wonderful.
I'm talking to you, is that I'm just working on getting it up. So
Yeah.
it'll
When
be
I read
real
that,
quick
I
right
read
now.
it quick and I'm like, oh, what's the big deal? 26,000. No, it wasn't 26,000.
Yeah,
So,
you go ahead.
so for those of you that can't read this, one of the owners of a club, they ran the history of the Bitcoin wallet that they send their funds into to pay Ben. So one of Ben's wallets, and people, Ben had more wallets than just one. Lori had one. There were other laptops with other wallets. It says this address has transacted 968 times on the Bitcoin blockchain. It has received a total of almost 374 Bitcoin. So it's 373.999, totaling $26,986,524. And then sent out of that wallet a little over 373 Bitcoin.
Yeah,
So,
pretty much all of it except for like 0.38 or something like
correct.
that Bitcoin.
So it's got about $27,000 worth of Bitcoin in it as of this text. So I think, back to what I'd said initially, do I want to think that Ben was always nefarious in his thinking? I can't see somebody doing all of this, and here we are 3 years, 4 years later, and he's still scamming people. I don't know if that just happened overnight. I don't know.
I can't answer that either. I really can't. I think he might have started the channel with good intentions. I think that when the founders group was started, I think he had to have known, I was telling you this, he had to have known that he was giving himself free shares and not putting in a dime and getting paid for it and reaping the benefits for everybody else who was paying for it for 24 months.
Yep. And I think he still has the Devour tokens, which there's something happened with those and I don't exactly know what.
And I know he had a lot of problems. I told you he had problems with companies that he was working with. People keep asking about Calyx. I don't know the status of Calyx. I don't. Everything else that Ben is doing is shut down.
Yes.
So it wouldn't surprise me. I know that Kelly's nephew, his soon-to-be ex-wife, his nephew was working at Calyx and was fired or let go. I don't know if that means they didn't want him there or there wasn't a job for him. So it was one of the two.
Well, I want to share something else. And again, I'm not mentioning names, but I purchased many Calyx laptops and Liberty laptops from Ben. I've moved everything off since then, but I know that one founder had a Calyx laptop. They had a wallet on there and the wallet's gone. It's just gone.
Yeah, see, it really wouldn't surprise me if they would have like set up some sort of backdoor into the PCs. It wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not accusing. I'm not accusing, but I'm just letting the other people know what has happened.
Look, in case people haven't seen this is a really quick clip. I'm glad that I kept it up here. It's like a little over 2 minutes. I don't think I'm gonna play the whole thing, but I had been on the show back in like, I can't remember the exact time period. I can go back and look, but it's been several years. And he was talking about Calyx laptop and he wanted to promote it. And at that time, people had reached out to me, telling me there was an FBI investigation, that there was something going on with someone cloning numbers and pretending to be Ben or Kelly, trying to get people's recovery phrases. So I'm gonna play part of that clip real quick, just kind of back up so people can also understand that the Calyx laptops have been kind of a little questionable since the beginning. No, look, I wasn't going to bring this up, but since you brought it up, I want to go ahead and clear. Like, I had heard something that had happened with your former laptops, and I don't think it involved you.
No,
someone who, like, I guess people who might have purchased laptops before you, someone was reaching out to those individuals pretending to be either yourself or people who worked at Calyx and were ultimately, I think, scam people. And if I'm not sure, there's an FBI investigation on it.
Yes.
I know that wasn't you. Wasn't you, but I figured we could clarify this while we're here.
Yeah.
At the time, I wasn't thinking Ben was doing something wrong, which is why I said I know it wasn't you.
And had got a hold of a phone list off of one of our old business associates, had a list of a few of our clients' phone numbers they had helped out with implementing wallet technology on their laptop. And so, yeah, as soon as we heard, we were like, FBI, and we hope we got a hold of the good FBI and not the bad FBI.
That kind of shows a little bit of an example of what happened back then. And that's already, you know, when you think about what's happening now and over the past few months, that brings that situation into like a kind of a different frame of thinking.
Yep.
So if you did buy a Calyx laptop, and let's say you're not good with technology, like you're the grandma who can't program her, use her remote, and they loaded on your wallets for you, meaning Calyx, if they gave you a laptop preloaded where they could have technically written down the recovery phrases before they sent you the laptop, you might want to get rid of that. You might want to transfer that crypto to a completely different wallet and do a factory reset on that computer, and just thank me for trying to help you. You can reach out to me at risecrypto@gmail.com too, and I'll tell you a little bit of information, a way that you can do that, the easiest way to get your funds off of the laptop, send it to a mobile wallet, send it back to a different wallet. But I'll help you out with that if you need help. But if you did get a preloaded laptop, I would definitely get your crypto off of there ASAP.
Yeah, the other thing I do want to say is we have put together a complaint that people can file if they choose to do so. I would love to see everybody file a complaint with every and any agency that they feel fit within their state. And I have gone through a lot of the facts about VC1, and I produced a template that I'm willing to share. There's my email. The more people we get out there, folks, the more chance we have. One, I think Ben needs to be held accountable. And I'm not accusing Ben, but what I'm saying is I've been asking him now for 3 years, and I have 3 certified letters to him asking for financials. He's not given me anything. So I'm left to draw my own conclusions and do my own research. I can't say it enough that if there was something that Ben wasn't trying to hide, he would have come forward. There's no reason he couldn't even reply to me. He could have even said, I don't have the financials. I don't know. But it's been silence, and I've not, other people that have asked for him, he hasn't treated them too nicely, and that's not okay with me either. But I would love to see all of us get out there and light a fire under every agency, because, and I know that El Salvador is looking into this as well, the country of El Salvador, because he filed both of his LLCs in El Salvador. So he needs to be, yeah, the crypto with Divvy. Can I speak to one thing about that? I know we're getting over, but if you all remember what I talked about, Ben wanted us to buy that resort in December of 2024. Then he accused Lori of stealing $40,000 from one of the bank accounts in January, the beginning of January of 2025. He did it live, and I think he was trying to taint her reputation, trying to set up a fall guy, because everybody kept saying, where are the financials, Ben? What's going on with VC1? And he's blamed Lori for everything. Lori screwed it up. Lori took everything.
You're going to hear a lot more of that, though.
Yes, exactly.
You're going to hear, just like with the Calyx laptop and the FBI investigation, it was somebody else. He's always going to point the finger at another person.
Yep. And that's why
I told Ben to sue me, because if Ben sues anybody, all this information, we can request this information, that the documentation to be provided in a discovery. So it would be almost welcomed at this point, which is why I said yesterday that Bitcoin Ben Simchi is a scammer. So sue me, Ben. Sue me, Ben.
Yes. I know it's innocent until proven guilty, but from what I can see, he's stolen from me and many other people.
I talked to a lot of victims.
He tries to create scapegoats. And like I said, he tried to put Lori in a bad light with the VC1 investors. I think he was going to dump it on her. Lori sent me proof that she sent Ben a check because he would not take her off bank accounts. And that got deleted out of Circle, and I got deleted out of Circle. I'm like, wait, you can accuse her publicly, but I can't show the evidence. But
well, in that video, in one of the 2 videos from April 1st, there was a lady asking why she was being blocked on Circle and asked how she could get unblocked. And I think Ben said something, I'm paraphrasing, but calling himself something like the timeout master. So he's very known for blocking people. muting them, not allowing them to talk when they question. And
Right.
that's been a proven case with a plethora of people that there's no denying it.
You don't agree with them, you're shut down. You know, and
Right.
that's too bad because Ben was supposedly for free speech, free everything. Well, there's only no, you're a dictator, Ben. And unless we do what you say and agree with you, you're going to shut us down. But with that timeline, so December, all the VC1 investors were coming at him. No, we don't want to do this. Where's our money? Where's the accountability? Where are the finances? That's December 2024. January 5th, 2025, 3rd, he accused Lori trying to set her up as the fall guy. I cleared Lori's name and he took me down. January 10th, he had a live stream. This live stream went
Oh,
forward.
this is the 6-hour thyroid live stream that he deleted. I had numerous people reach out to me. By the time they said something, there was no trying to find this incriminating, insane, delusional. Now, I will say, apparently, if you do, and he does have thyroid problems, that is legit. I talked to Kelly. He was in a hospital twice, once for 2 days, once overnight. And thyroid conditions can cause you to be delusional, but he's supposed to be taking medication that's supposed to help with it. So, but that doesn't give you the ability and excuse to be able to do what Ben has been doing to all the people that he's been doing this to over the years, especially since this thing started back in 2022, was October, November 22.
Well, I can tell you, I heard that entire live stream. I listened to the whole thing before it got taken down. Ben was giving financial advice. He had said that he was told by Trump and the White Hats that which cryptos were going to live and which cryptos weren't going to live. And he pumped Divvy. Yep. And Hypercycle. You are correct.
Someone was asking about a silver venture. They've asked a couple times.
Yes. I can answer that when I finish this.
Okay.
But he pumped Divvy. So a lot of people sold a whole bunch of their crypto. Divvy took a big pump because everybody's buying, and then it dumped. And people lost a lot of money.
Steve, message me on Telegram at RiceTVX or email me at ricecrypto@gmail.com if you got the audio of this.
Oh my gosh, I hope you do, Steve. I really hope you do, because we looked everywhere. That's the other thing, folks. Ben always touted he has his own server. I've been in the computer field for a long time. One of my
he doesn't have his own server though. You like if you have if you have a Discord or if you have a Substack, I think that you have access to a server via them, but it's not your server. It's not an easy thing to maintain a server at your house.
Do you think though that somebody could have accidentally wiped out that video? I think he wiped it.
I mean, so if I wanted to remove all these videos that I've done with Ben, I could go to each individual channel and delete it.
Right.
That's
but
it.
He said it accidentally. They have no idea where it went, how it got deleted.
I can say that. I could say the same thing. I can delete all the videos and say I didn't delete them. Right. I don't know what happened. I have no clue.
Yeah. Well, I think Ben was aware. I'm not saying he didn't have some type of thyroid issue. I believe Kelly, but I also have talked to other people that are pharmacists and other medical people. The reaction delusion that he was experiencing while he went on this insane rant, saying insane things. Either he was having a nervous breakdown because he knew he was at a point in his life where the lies were catching up with him and everybody was coming at him, or this was a show. And I hate to say it, but I think it was half and half. And I think he also wanted to see what's going on over here and not here. I think he wanted the sympathy because he was screwed. The VC1 people were coming at him hard. He needed to shut him down. He had no way to do it. No way. And then he had the whole sympathy thing going. He might have truly had some issues. But if you listen to that stream, something else was going on. It wasn't, I'm sorry. No.
I mean, it sounded like he was like without me like listening to it, but the stuff I heard, if it's real, it's like he was confessing
something.
Because there was talks about working with undercover government, money laundering, working with Russian mobs or different mobs,
executing,
killing people
in front of their kids. And Kelly said it was all lies.
I can't say for a fact that, well, not for a fact because it didn't happen to me, but I had two ladies say that they have been threatened by Ben in a way that would talk about ending their life.
Yeah, a lot of people get into. He did have a way. He did have a way. He actually told he strongly urged me before he cut off communication because he knew I was getting to the truth about Lori and about VC1. He strongly urged me to be very careful about a relationship with her if I knew it was good for me. I got to tell you, that doesn't feel very good in your stomach. And he didn't say it that nicely. So, yeah, I was sick to my stomach for like 2 months and scared to death to even talk to him. So he does have a way.
Yeah, no, I know he does. I know he does. That's why, again, I mean, the invitation's open for him to come on the show to defend himself, but he needs to come with receipts because I don't trust and I need to verify.
I'm with you. Yeah, but from what I can see, it looks like he took the money and run. The silver. So the silver venture, 7K metals, it's still there. It's still going. I had reached out to Ben. The first letter I sent to him, because 7K metals had come up with a whole new way to make money and referrals and this and that. And I said to him, listen, let's try to help the VC1 members. They've made nothing on VC1. They've lost so much money. Let's try to help them, educate them on silver, get them into this, help them understand, show them a way to make money. And he never replied. He never. And if anybody needs help with silver or wants help with silver, feel free. You've got my email. I have some great companies you can buy from at wholesale prices, get a membership or not. Different ways to get silver. So I can help you with that. But it's very sad.
Yeah, no, I'm trying to pull up another screen share here with your calculations so people can see this once again. So, I mean, the way that we're talking is it seems like Ben has been able to obtain over $5 million off of other people.
Now, Royce, don't forget, this is VC1.
Right. This is just VC1. This is VC1. Now, also, I want to remind people that during the and please confirm this with me, Debbie, as far as I know, and please confirm, was J-Bo's Nathan, I don't know Nathan's last name, Salvador, who's in El Salvador, were any of these guys involved with Ben during the time period of November 22nd to October 2024, which would have been the life cycle, the 2-year life cycle of VC1?
I have no idea who the first two gentlemen are. I've never met them. Jay Bose, and who was the other gentleman? Nathan
was hired as a CFO for the private key for the clubs, for everything. Jay was brought on. Jay Bose, he was brought on to be the CEO of the company.
Yep. And I have the documents. I've got the formation, the LLCs. It was Ben and Lori. Salvador, who lives in El Salvador, he was hired by Lori to be what they call a compliance officer. Because of the nature of the business being in El Salvador, they were very strict on money laundering. So we all had to be run through like a background check. Okay. And that's what Salvador was to do. Now, when we stopped the contributions, Lori let him go because there was no longer a need. And then Ben hired him back at some point. What he's doing now, I don't know, but I can tell you, he was the one disseminating Bitcoin to people, which off of a laptop. That's all I know, and helping monitor and circle and things like that. But no, and he was just like he would do paperwork kind of thing.
This right here is sickening, and I can almost, in a sense, I can understand, like, if you had the private keys to this many Bitcoin, how tempting it would be to keep it. Not that I would, but I'm just saying I can understand where the tempt would come in. That doesn't make it right. It does not make it right, especially when, as quoting Ken Bozak, as he said, that Ben Semchi, you are a pig butcher. You are pig butchering senior citizens.
Yep. And
shame.
Yes. He's got to live with himself. I could never do this to people. Those of you that invested in clubs where he said the accounts were frozen, I would demand proof that they're frozen, because he took your money for future clubs. And he's saying there's going to be no refunds. Him and Bamboo's right there with him. Bamboo is just as guilty. Yes, the live stream date.
I was looking at your notes.
January 10th, 2025.
January 10th, 2025.
But you guys, I would ask for proof. I'd get on him. I mean, I don't know if you can find him. I think he's living in a van. traveling across the country.
He is. He's with Heidi. I know he was in Sarasota last week because Kelly's lawyer was contacted by his attorney. Who, so I don't know if he was going there to clean up stuff out of the Sarasota club or what was going on, but he was in Florida. He could still be in Florida. I know he's not going to be in Vegas next week.
Well, I was told that
I would be really surprised.
He tried to use a credit card within the last month in Kentucky, was it? He tried to use a maxed out credit card. One of the club owners, I think. I don't know how they would have known. Maybe they're a co-owner on the credit card.
You know,
Oklahoma.
Let's say in theory that Ben ended up with, let me pull it up here, someone screen sharing. Okay, so let's say he ended up with, was it 63 Bitcoin or is it 55? Are you saying he ended up with 55 Bitcoin? Yep, that 55. Equals out to,
Yep. And that was the price in January of 102.
And knowing that Bitcoin, I mean, even though you have that many Bitcoin, you really wouldn't want to sell it right now. So I understand why he's using other people's money and stuff like that, because you would kind of be selling. It's all profit technically, but
right, because he
wants to maximize his profits. So it seems like he's waiting for the bull run to come up before he starts selling any of his Bitcoin.
Yep.
This is a mess. It's a mess.
It's a big mess. And I would love for somebody to take these wallet addresses and track down where they were transferred to. I mean, I don't know.
If you email Deb and she'll send you the addresses. And if anybody's really good with chain analysis and can help, that would be great. Jay is not talking to anybody right now. I've tried texting him. As far as I know, he's ghosted everybody because I think he's going to be the scapegoat. Allegedly, I think. But the whole point of this, though, was to also again show that there was no involvement with Jay Bose or Nathan. I got it, Kirby. Thank you for telling me his name. Nathan Kirby and Jay Bose was not involved in VC1. So if there is a situation where Jay Bose is being made a scapegoat because of something in regards to VC2, which would be related to the clubs and the crypto clubs, then you know that he was not involved in VC1. So what I had been trying to tell people who've been trying to plant that in my head is that Ben is not innocent. Even if Ben did get screwed over in the process of screwing people over, Ben is not innocent. Are you, Ben?
Shame on you, Ben.
It's like Game of Thrones. Shame, shame. People should walk behind them with bells and shame, shame.
You know what I think hurts more than the money is the trust that you put in people. That when that trust is violated,
because unfortunately you guys, I mean, I said it was, you guys like went into this blindly because of how charismatic and good with words Ben is. And he had kind of formed a relationship with people being a content creator. And you kind of felt like he was this regular everyday truck guy. So he was establishing himself as this trustworthy figure. And then when you put your trust into him, we're seeing what ended up happening. Yep. And I can't say that that none of this doesn't fault the fault of this. Definitely Ben has responsibilities, is what I'm getting at. Ben cannot say that this is not his fault.
Well, I don't want him to take anybody else's money. And I hope other podcasters, like great podcasters like Dave from X22 and Bix Weir, where he was interviewed on these shows, I hope they find this information out and they don't enable him to get back out in that community to scam other people.
Well, that would be the big thing. The last thing I want to remind people, as Deb said, she has put together templates and information. There are a group of people who have already contacted various different forms of law enforcement, whether on a state and or federal level. So if you would like to join in on the pursuit, definitely email Deb. Her email's right here, as you can see on screen, and she'll get you connected with the documentation that she has provided for everybody. And then you can just customize it by adding in some of your own personal experiences, because Deb is not the only one. I could tell you there's a lot of people that are doing this. And I'm hoping that after these videos that I've done just over the past, from the 3 videos, including this from last Wednesday, I hope have woken up some of the cult members who are drinking that Kool-Aid still, and that it dilutes the Kool-Aid and they start seeing reality for what it is and try their best to help end the efforts to bring this to the attention of law enforcement. And then we'll see what justice, what kind of justice can be done. But as a reminder, this is what we're looking at. Again, Ben did return some of the investment money that people had made. They were paying $150,000 for 24 months per share. $150 a month times 24 months per share. Sorry. And ultimately, when it all was said and done, after investing in 11 entities, paying money to buy out a partner and different things, this is the end result that we're looking at, that Ben himself has achieved to accumulate 55 or so Bitcoin. You want to call it 50? Maybe people understand where I got that 50 to 66 number, but it's definitely somewhere. Even if you want to say 45, 45 Bitcoin is a lot of money. That would still be over like $4 million at that point. And this money came from seniors, the majority of people who are senior citizens who do not have an opportunity of being able to fix their situation.
And that's our money. That's not his money. That's our money.
Well, it's technically his now.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Unfortunately, I mean, but hopefully we can correct that, and hopefully people can share this information, because this is not the only type of scam that exists in cryptocurrency. And I do look at this as a crypto scam. It was a way for Ben to be able to take Bitcoin. So there is a cryptocurrency element into this, in addition to it being a venture capital and taking in fiat. But that fiat was used to buy Bitcoin. And so that does make this a crypto scam. And I'll quote because maybe I don't think he can't sue me. The worst he can do is get mad. Jim Flanagan said, this whole thing is a Ponzi scheme. I can't say that Jim Flanagan actually said that, but I'm pretty damn sure based off the people who told me that he did say that. So,
well, he wasn't the only one around Ben who said that.
I know. And I've got some audio with Nathan, the CFO, saying some incriminating things. I got some audio with Ben saying some incriminating things. I mean, at one point, Ben had said in this audio that if there were any problems, to blame it on his thyroid and mental breakdown. And because of the thyroid and mental breakdown is why he decided to hire other people to help him with the company. Speaking again of Nathan and Jay Bose. So, but he said that he would use, you guys can use that as an excuse. And so there's a whole lot of things. And he was very, as much of an anarchist as I am, he was definitely more of an anarchist in the fact that he just he thought by doing everything in a private type element that it was going to protect him from any consequences of his negative actions.
Yeah, but the funny part about that was he never even set the PMA right up. He never set the documentation up right. So he wasn't.
No, I don't think there's no way that Ben did anything with the Bitcoin because he doesn't have a house that he owns. The house that he owned or is owning is the one with Kelly that probably will end up in her possession. He's going through a divorce right now that requires a settlement. So he's not trying to have any sort of or any money or anything that could be taken from him, because I can already tell you based off conversations I've had that he's definitely not trying to look out for his soon-to-be ex-wife in the divorce settlement.
And that's probably why that Bitcoin wallet is empty.
It's possible. But again, there's a trail. There's a trail. So either you sold it and someone's got the money, or there's a trail of where it went. So if you're good with chain analysis, please contact Deb. You can reach out to me. I've mentioned my Telegram at RiceTVX, and you can email me at ricecrypto@gmail.com. Deb, I know we went a little bit longer than expected, but was there anything else that you wanted to add to this?
No, I just really want to thank you, Chris, for everything. I know, like you said, it's a lot of time, energy, and this was not something I know either one of us wanted to do, because we both considered Ben a friend. So, and I'm sorry to everybody that I couldn't do more as a board member. My hands were tied. I'm sorry I disappeared from Circle. I was shut down. There's my email. If there's anything I can do, any questions I can answer, I'm here for you.
Again, you've provided with me a wealth of information. I mean, I think that this just kind of like is the icing on the cake with the crypto clubs, with everything that me and Ken had talked about in the previous 3 videos. So if you want to come on the show, reach out to me. If if Debbie has inspired you to speak up and share your situation. If you're someone whose house is in foreclosure, if you're someone who's lost a great deal of wealth and you want to share that story, reach out to me. Otherwise, I'm not going to be covering this much more. And you guys need to start watching out for yourselves and taking care of each other. Deb, again, I appreciate your time. I want to go ahead and just wrap up today's live stream. I've got a lot going on, and I'm really glad to kind of get this part of this over, because we have been talking for a few months. If it hadn't been with the situation with my dad, I would have definitely had you on sooner. So
it's okay.
But other than that, ladies and gentlemen, again, I appreciate you tuning in. Watch the other videos. They are linked down below in the video description just for your amusement. Here is your BitConnect Ben memes here for you guys to check out. We'll throw up the thumbnail to ride us out. Deb, I'll be in contact with you. I really appreciate everything. If you need anything, feel free to reach out to me, okay?
Okay, and happy birthday, Chris.
Thank you. Yeah, my birthday's coming up next Wednesday, April 29th. So, again, thank you, Debbie. We'll talk soon.
Yes, sir.
Ladies and gentlemen, again, I really greatly appreciate each and every one of you. This has been a lot. This has been a lot to handle. I'm tired of talking about this, but I really needed to try to explain this to people as much as possible to get them to have a full understanding of how immense the fuckery has been going on with in regards to Ben Semchi, Bitcoin Ben, and his crypto clubs, his VC1, VC2. I don't know anything about VC2, honestly, but if it's anything like VC1, that should just give you an inclination of how much damage has been done. That is the saddest thing about this whole thing, is how much damage has been done. So if you're going to be in Vegas, let me know. I'm going to be in Vegas Sunday through Thursday for the Bitcoin conference. If you need a ticket, I've got access to 2 tickets of my own and 4 other tickets if they're still available, which I think they are. They were last night. So if you need a ticket, you're going to come to Vegas, hit me up, RiceTVX on Telegram, or ricecrypto@gmail.com. Smash that like button. Make sure you subscribe and all that good stuff. Appreciate. Much love.
Rice TVX, the mic's live wire. American Pitbull, real gold buyer. Sound money advocate, rights defender. In the crypto arena, he's the top contender. From the gritty streets of the digital age, Rice lays wisdom, chapter and page. Silver, gold, he scores only the bold. Land, life, and liberty, these values hold.
You do these guys.
Constitution, deep dive, knowledge revival. Navigate the system, critical for survival. Rice engraved like inscriptions on metal. Pitbull in the game, lead foot on the pedal. Land acquirer, a strategic mind. In the fight for freedom, he's frontline. Educate on rights, the law he'll explain. Chris Rice, the Pitbull, breaking the chain.
America.